Hey everyone, I'm Greg Schnell, the Canadian technician, here to host the Market Buzz. This show looks at weekly setups across the U.S. market. Using the tools available on StockCharts, we'll look for long time frame trades. Please subscribe to my articles and Twitter feed for more information. So we have ourselves a market. We're rallying into options expiration, which just happens to be the today, and so that'll be a high volume day because it's quadruple witching. I mentioned that on Wednesday, so I'm not going to cover it off again. And then we've got the Fed meeting on Tuesday, Wednesday. So those are big things for volatility. And again, the only thing I'll say about quad witching is it marked the top in September and the low in December. So they can be major inflection points. Okay, financials. Right after I said the banks are still looking weak, the financials they were the best performing sector yesterday. Haven't looked yet today, but it's just funny how the moment after they were weak again, I thought, okay, this just doesn't work well. Anyway, they tried to rally, and we'll get into that right away. Today, I'm going to go through biotech stocks and show you how to set up a chart list from scratch, and then save it, sort it, all that kind of stuff. So let's get started because we got lots to cover off. Anyway, so here were the financials yesterday. Best performing group out of everything. I think that's I don't know about it for you, but for me, that's a pretty big surprise. And if I just roll this back, I'm just controlling the date up here in the corner, December 26th. So that was the big market low. You can see that real estate was the third best performing group through all of this, and that's compared to the S&P 500. All of the groups are doing well, but the real estate group held up, pretty good compared to technology and industrials. So anyway, I think that's kind of interesting. Looking at staples and healthcare, they've obviously been the weaker performers, but utility is coming back. It's not too bad. I mean, most of these have kept up with the rally, but considering utilities are such a defensive area, it's pretty impressive that we got that. So anyway, what I want to get over to now is we're going to cover off industry groups. And this is a really interesting group. And the reason I say interesting is the biotech group. If you look at the chart, this is flat for 5 years. You would think you haven't made any money in this group. I will say one thing on here, and that is that, when the whole group goes on a run, that can be helpful. And if I was just to annotate this chart, there is a downsloping trend line here that I'd like to see broken, obviously. And it looks like it wants to roll over. But the one thing about the biotech stocks that I particularly like is that they're not correlated with the S&P 500 very well. They do their own thing. And so we're going to get in and go create our own industry group for biotech and pharma stocks. So what I do to start that is you open the scan editor from the home page. Maybe I should just go do that so everybody can follow along. But you go to your dashboard. And from your dashboard, scroll down here, and we want to create a new scan. And we're going to go in and set all this. Now, one of the things about the scan is you want to set it up so that it starts at the biggest and goes to the smallest. So in general, we want a stock, so that'll get rid of ETFs and indexes and all that kind of stuff. And then we're going to go get two specific groups, in this case, biotech and pharmaceuticals. And so what I do to get those, again, you just go down here, scroll down to healthcare, and you would just go grab biotechnology or whatever, and you add it. Now it's going to add it to the bottom. So I've already got it up top here. And then, so you would just keep doing that. Now, the only difference is you have to change this to or when you've got more than one group, because you can't be in both groups. So you're either a biotech or a pharmaceutical, but you're not both. And these other ones, I just showed them here. You could try to put all of these together. The only problem is this would make such a long chart list that there'd be more than 500 stocks, and that wouldn't work out well. So in this case, I've just commented them out with these two slashes at the front. And then rather than leaving the calculating the daily volume on every stock. As the first thing, I want to control the group size. So I want to control it to biotechnology and then pharmaceuticals. And then I only want stocks over $5. I don't really want to try and find a 30-cent biotech stock. Those are just fraught with danger. So anyway, we're going to stay away from those. So I'm just going to pick a close over $5. And the simple moving average has to be greater than 40,000. Now, I don't think that's going to be a big hurdle, obviously, but I just want to make sure that it doesn't give me a chart that's got so little data on it. The data's not smooth. Anyway, so we run that scan. And when we run that, we can check our syntax, and what we need to make sure of is it'll just check all our formatting to make sure the brackets are right. And so in this case where I've got the OR, I have this bracket here and this bracket over here, grouping that OR statement together. Anyway, run the scan, and when I do that, it's going to go and get me some scan results. So now here I've got 330 stocks or whatever, and I just want to rank them by scooter ranking, and I'm going to put the strongest ones first. The problem is, as you notice, if I click on this, some of these don't have a scooter ranking. So what I do there is I want the biggest volume first, and then I want the scooter ranking. So let's rank it by volume and then rank it by scooter. Okay, and now from that, I want to save it in that format. And I already happen to have a chart list, but if you didn't have a chart list called Biotex, then you would store these results in a new chart list. I'm going to merge these results with an existing chart list and make sure that I don't lose any of the stocks I've got in there, but I'm going to scroll down. And in this case, I'm going to put it in biotech and pharma. And when I do that, it's going to go and create this group. So what I've got here is a whole bunch of stocks listed off. And the reason some of these have their ticker symbols in front and some don't is ones that were in there before. The format I had them on was slightly different. So anyway, with that, now what I want to do is I want to go get rid of all of those, or I want to keep all of those numbers, right? I've sorted the whole group, and I want to look at it based on the scooter ranking. But when I do this, it's going to give me a chart setting, and let's just say it's my daily setting, and I want to make it a weekly. I just want to show everybody how to do this. So let's say you want to look at a weekly, not a daily, but your default is daily. Then what I would do is I would just click on the chart style I like, and then I would go down to the very bottom of this page and say apply style to all, and it'll change all of the charts in the group to whatever the current style is I'm looking at. So in this case, this stock, it's obviously been falling for a while. This was $638, so they probably had to do some sort of a share split. Yeah, 10 for 1 right back here. And then what's happened all of a sudden is it went from $1 to $25. So obviously some good news on the stock. That's not the kind of stock I want to chase that's in a big downtrend and finally has a jolt. We want to try and find something a little more exciting than that. A little better looking is probably the right answer. So anyway, then we can just go, I'm going to use the 10 per page setting. And now we're just going to look through these pharmaceuticals. And we're going to cover off the strongest scooters first. So that tells us that the price action is pretty good. And then we're going to go down to the group that doesn't have a scooter ranking and go look at those. So that's going to give you two different methods or to make sure we're not missing any good stocks. But basically, if they're in pharma or biotech, we're going to get a look at them as long as they're over $5. So from here, this chart is breaking out, and you can just see here it's built a nice base after the sudden surge and is starting to push higher. This IPO'd about 3 years ago. So this is very normal for an IPO stock to come out. They needed funding, downtrending, all of a sudden starting to work, and this stock looks like it wants to take off to the upside. You can see that the momentum on the PPO was below zero for multiple years. Now all of a sudden that's a real trend change. Here's Immune Design Corp, and this one just literally stepped up. I'm not sure that this works for me. Zero change, so something's going on this particular chart. So you can see if I just hover here, I can delete it. This once Spark Therapeutics is getting involved in a buyout or something, so I can either keep it. You can see it broke to a new all-time high. It doesn't really matter. I don't have to delete them. I could just leave them in this group. But this is a beautiful chart here. So we have Ionis Pharmaceuticals. This is exactly what we want to look for. So here we have a stock that is just breaking out to new 5-year highs, and it's been basing in here for this whole time, and all of a sudden it's starting to push. This is a really nice breakout that we'd like to see. And that's the kind of thing that I'm looking for, is I want to see a stock start to make new 52-week highs and get going. And they probably have something pretty exciting without even knowing their product line. So here's RA Pharmaceuticals, and this one was IPO'd a couple years ago, and 27.84 is its prior high. It's just trying to get through that. So as it goes through there, you're going to end up attracting more interest, I think, in the stock. But you can see it's been on an uptrend for almost a year now. But this looks like it's finally got something going. And again, a new IPO stock is a nice thing. They can climb for a long time. So here's Invitae, and this one is just starting to break out past its IPO price. Really looks good on the chart. Lots of volume showing up as a buyer. Here's Veracyte. And this one broke out of the base a little while ago at $10, and now it's starting to make higher highs and higher lows, so that's comforting. I'd probably want it to come in a little bit before I tried to grab it. Here's Acadia Pharma. I really like this one. This is just getting through this base that it is built, and it looks like it's trying to surge higher. I would like it if there was a little more volume on this breakout, but this still looks okay, and just use $25 as a stop kind of thing. Osiris Therapeutics, this one's nice uptrend, just continues to run and looks pretty strong here. Lots of volume showing up this week, so something going on in the stock. Array Bio. So again, the point I want to make here, just as we look through these stocks together, is remember that the industry group, biotech, just has a flat chart. There's no real money being made, and the reason is because they rotate in and out. So one of the advantages we have being technicians is we can just stay in the stocks while they're working for us, and then get out of them when they start to break down. So literally, we're just looking for stocks that are starting to outperform. So here's one breaking out to new 52-week highs. Very comforting, had a good volume surge on the breakout. Fate Therapeutics, same thing, breaking out to new 52-week highs right now after consolidating for a year. Very comforting. PPO looks like it's turning up here. Relative strength is continuing to outperform. Scooter ranking is up in the top scale. I like everything about this chart. And again, my stop would just go right below the breakout level if it doesn't hold up. This nanostring technologies broke out, looks like it's pulling back, and you're just trying to get it at a new 5-year high. That's very comforting. Insmed, and again, I've shown you how to set up this chart list, so you can go do this at any time. And you can change the sort order. Again, I'm trying to look at the strongest stocks first, so I've used the Scooter ranking, which is this top one, but you could whatever, sort by RSI or rank by RSI. You could sort it by price, whatever you want. I like to use the Scooter ranking, and it just helps put the strongest stocks first. So here we have a stock, this matrix was consolidating for most of 2018, and now it looks like it's ready to kind of keep going up, breaking out to new 52-week highs. $65, so right in here somewhere, and now all of a sudden it's starting to resurge or surge higher. And you can see this compressed scale on the side. This is unbelievable, right? This was a $5 stock 2 years ago, and all of a sudden it's up in the $75 range. So this is huge, but it looks like it's just getting going. You know, whatever, perhaps it rolls over, just keep your stop nice and tight on these if they do roll over. But you know, we really want to see the change in behavior on these stocks. So here's one. Basically, it's been a downtrend for a long time, and it's having a big surge this week. I would probably want to make sure it gets through this $4 level just because of this big downtrend, and wait for that. And you can see that the PPO being below 0 for 4 years kind of told you something. Avoid the stock. It's trying to get back above, so that's comforting. I would probably, force it to get up to at least this level. It won't quite be 52-week highs, but at least it would be a base exercise, and we'd start to have positive momentum. XLXS, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Anyway, so here's the downsloping trend line. The stock's been consolidating for 2 years, and it looks like it's just trying to get going here. The momentum is going above 0 after breaking this big downtrend. It's been a $1 stock all the way up to 32, so there's a little bit of a multiple available for you there. But here it is trying to break out to new 52-week highs. I like that. That's just a very comfortable place to take that. Horizon Pharma, what we see here is this one is starting to break out to new 3-year highs, and it's just making this chop is kind of hard because it surged up and then pulled back for 2 months, surged up, pulled back. It looks like it's kind of breaking out of that habit now after getting through this $23, $24 level. And now I'd expect it to, kind of keep going. And if it doesn't keep going, just keep moving your buy point down and let it take you into the stock when it finally starts to turn back up again. So if it's going to do this for 3 or 4 months, just let it drift lower and then pick it up. Spiro Therapeutics. This is obviously an IPO, just recently came out, so about 1.5 years ago, and pulled down really hard to $5. Now it's already doubled to 12. But you can see they obviously have something going on where this stock is really starting to move higher. And I don't think it was just the rally off the December lows. It seems to be, from the chart, it looks like it was just following the S&P 500. But usually these IPO stocks have their own heartbeat. So I kind of like the way this chart is shaping up, and looks pretty good. So here's Biohaven Pharma, a new IPO a couple of years ago, and it's just starting to break out above the consolidation from the range. This is textbook technical analysis here, where you've got, call it $40, and this thing is just starting to run. It's at 50 now. Was a $17 stock back in the IPO. Really nice, starting its uptrend, and again, just breaking out of this base here. So this is really comforting. Okay, so again, I'm just using the scooter ranking to help pick these stocks, and you can see that this was a relatively low price stock in here, so it didn't even have a scooter ranking for a long time. And then basically our computer just connects the dots when it finally gets back up into the high enough price or high enough market cap to actually have a scooter ranking. So we don't try to rank the garbage stocks. We only want to rank stronger stocks to make the scooter a real value. And here again, we see this stock breaking out to new 9-month highs. This looks to me like the base is built, and this wants to accelerate higher. PPO just heading above 0, making higher lows. I like this positive divergence where the momentum is higher and the price was lower. So this is really setting up nicely, and a good run here, and then just keep trailing your stop up and try and get as much of a ride as you can. Same thing here. This stock IPO'd in around $15, runs up to 46, pulls back. And one of the things that's nice is on this scale, you can see how it just compresses over and over and over. If I go look, I'm just going to go grab a different stock here. Whatever, let's go back to them and just grab whatever, Intel. So on this Intel chart, you can see, even though I've got a logarithmic scale set up here, this chart, it's about 50% from here to here. Well, the biotech stock that we're looking at, this is a double to 25, another double to 50. So this scale alone is moving 200% on this chart. And so the computer will always adjust the scale to fill the chart. But the important thing is, when you start to see this real compression at the top, that tells you the stock, first of all, has a lot of price movement in both directions. But as it starts to run, that's the kind of stock you want to get into, high momentum. And if it just runs up and then pulls back, then just let it take you out. I think I'm not smart enough to try and figure out all of their pharma, all of the phase 3, phase 2, all of the trials, all that kind of stuff. I'm more interested in the stock rather than the company, and I'm interested to see if more investors are picking up the stock. That's the kind of thing I want to look at. So here we have a stock that was $10. It's now 100. This is a 10-fold increase. You could change the scale on the stock scan that we did from $5 to $2 if you want, but this $5 would have got you in here and getting a new breakout to a new high. Okay, let's just go and look very quickly. I just want to see how far down we have to go to get to stocks that don't have a scooter ranking. So these ones in here. So, I didn't do that right. Anyway, so here's Akari Therapeutics. So let's just rank these by volume and change that. So anyway, you can click on the volume tab here, and now we want to go edit list. We're going to get rid of all of the numbers we've got here and remove numbers from, okay. And then we're going to go back into summary mode. And the reason we go into summary mode is because that gives us the choices of how we want to sort. So we want to sort by volume, and we're going to select scooter. And now say, go back down to the bottom, number in sorted order. And that's going to give us our list. Okay, now I'm just going to scroll down. So just bear with me here. We're going to go right to the bottom and then work our way back up. And you can see the volume over here is increasing. We have no scooter ranking here. So here's a stock, Aurora Cannabis, with no scooter ranking. And we could start to look at these ones in this range. So we'll just click on here. Here's a new IPO, and it's just lots of volume on this stock. Animal health. Anyway, so the idea, of course, being that then we can just literally flip through and see if there's anything interesting that hasn't got a scooter ranking yet. This Kronos, marijuana related, Akari Therapeutics. This one's obviously jumping off the lows. Amarin, this one, really big base being built here for years, and then all of a sudden suddenly surges. If it starts to break through to new highs again, I'd probably be interested. And if it doesn't, I'd just stay away. Canopy Growth, you'll recognize all these marijuana names. I won't even discuss it, but I'm expecting these to keep rolling over. You can see there's been no real volume showing up to buy these things. So, Novo Lion Therapeutics, pretty big downtrend. There's some volume starting to show up here. Maybe it's going to break out of this base. For some reason, we got a stock under $1. Oh, because it was in my list before, and I only merged new stocks in there. So here's Guardian. This one's a new IPO taken off. Wow, $40 this week. You can get by on that kind of revenue or that kind of profit. Here's Moderna. And again, another IPO, just trying to break out. So it's forming a base here and now starting to work higher. I think if it gets above your, IPO price, or even last week, if it could start to take out the high. So it was making a higher high, then pulls back, makes a higher low, and starts to make higher highs again. I'd probably want to be interested and then just manage it that way. Cannabis Pharmaceuticals, you can see this chart's just too jerky for me. It's got like a sudden surge, nothing for a year, and it's been dropping, and now it's trying to turn back up again. I would just avoid this chart. Hemisphere Tech, this looks really nice. This one's starting to break out and just starting to run here. It's up to $9, so getting going. Big move this week. They've obviously got something that's starting to work for them. And here's another IPO. And again, you can keep these IPOs together and then just keep watching them for base breakouts or new 52-week highs or new 6-month highs, whatever you want. The idea being, let the stock consolidate and get owners, I'll call it steady hands, that know something about the company. And then as it starts to break out, then I'd be more interested in getting involved. Denali Therapeutics, this one's trying to break out of this one-year base. I like it right here, right now. That's really a nice chart. I realize it's moved 10% this week, but these IPO stocks tend to do that. Anyway, I'd have my stop right down here, just slightly lower. Microbot Medical, not a chart I'm interested in. Neon Therapeutics, same thing, IPO, trying to base. So Organigram, another marijuana name. Unicure, this one's trying to break out to new, well, it did break out to new 5-year highs. Stock is surging here. It's hard to buy it after it's gone from 40 to 60 or whatever. Those are difficult. I'd have to wait for it to come in for me to get involved. Evolvus, here's another IPO, and the stock's trying to base, so a move through 30 probably puts it on my radar. CalVista Pharma, this is nice, actually. This is a nice big base being built. Then it came up here, consolidated for 6 to 9 months, and now it looks like it's on the move. And again, these biotech stocks, they move so fast. So if it doesn't hold the breakout, then I'd let somebody else own it. But if it can keep running, then I'd probably be involved. And again, new IPO, but based for a couple of years. And it looks like their science is starting to improve or whatever. So this is starting to break out. That's just a nice chart. And again, we found it by having a chart list and by just sorting it so that we can see things. And in this case, I'm using the volume to help guide me towards stocks that are working. Entrust, another marijuana name. CRISPR Therapeutics. This one looks like it had a sudden surge pulling back, and now I'd say a breakout through this $41 level looks pretty good. Might wait for the 42, get back above the 200-day moving average. The downtrend in momentum looks to be over. Hasn't really got any divergence, but I do like the fact that the chart's starting to shape up better. I'd like it if it started to outperform the S&P 500. That would probably attract more money to it. And here's another IPO name in around this 750 level. You can see the stock really tried to consolidate there, then broke down hard. And again, when you're trading biotechs, you got to use small position size because they're very volatile and have numerous positions, not just one. And that's a much safer way to trade those stocks. Okay, let's look at one more or two more, and then I'm going to wrap it up here. The one thing I would like to say on this one, this is textbook example of the consolidation sideways, and then it starts to push to higher highs. Look at how this scale is compressing on the right-hand side. That is textbook what we want to see. Anyway, hopefully that helps you get set up, how to make a new chart list, how to manage it. And even though the overall industry group was sideways, we can finally find some strong stocks within the group. Thanks for taking the time to join me on Market Buzz. Market Buzz airs live on Wednesdays and Fridays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, 7:30 Pacific time on StockCharts TV. You can also catch replays on the StockCharts YouTube channel or on StockCharts TV, which has a running list of technical charting informational shows. Thank you.